Hey, and welcome to another Chasing Trails video. I'm Johnny, and this is Lauren, who at the time of filming was 8 months pregnant. In this video we set off for the rugged coastline of Cornwall, with its wild moorish landscapes and long varied coastal scenery full of quaint ports and Cornish pasties. On this trip we were also joined by our best friend, Astrid the Retriever. This is Chasing Trails in Cornwall. Several months before our trip, we purchased a 1999 Hyper Campervan. It was our goal to modernise the interior before we left. So with 2 weeks until our trip, Lauren decided that we had better get a move on. So she got to work on removing all of the inside cupboards and doors, as well as the carpeted floor. After several days of sanding, 3 coats of paint, and a lot of help from our family and friends, the doors were glistening white and ready to be reinstalled. After this, Lauren's dad Rodney installed our new wooden floor, and the van was ready for its maiden voyage. And although the van wasn't completely finished, we were both really happy with the result. The first leg of the trip took us on the overnight ferry from Belfast to Liverpool. We didn't book a cabin and had massive regrets as we barely slept all night. But thankfully we had scheduled a quick stopover in Bristol to visit some old friends. So we woke up early the next day, fully recovered and ready to take on Cornwall. Our first stop was the Lost Gardens of Helligan near Megavissey. The extensive gardens are considered to be amongst the most popular in the UK. After a long day of walking, we were ready for our first campsite. One of our favourite parts of any trip are the lazy mornings, brewing up some coffee and making plans for the day ahead. On this day, we took the long sloping road down to St Mawes, where Astrid and I experienced our first dip in the English Channel. Regrettably, what comes down must go back up, and so we struggled up what felt like the steepest hill in Cornwall back to the van. 1 hour later, and after a quick refuel, we were at the famous Lizard Point, the most southerly point on mainland Great Britain, and the area where the Spanish Armada were first sighted in July 1588. It is also the site of the Battle of the Lizard between the English and French navies in October 1707. After a long day in the sun, it was time to find the next beach and our campsite for the evening. The sunset was spectacular, so we just lay on the beach sipping our ice-cold drinks while Astrid played fetch amongst the waves. Then we pop up our feet as the sound of the ocean lulled us to sleep. We spent the following day in search of beaches. Kynance Cove was our first stop. However, it was a bit busy for our liking, so we didn't stay for long. We visited St Michael's Mount, an impressive tidal island only accessible between mid-tide and low water. We enjoyed some fudge and ice cream in the market town of Marazion. We then visited our last big tourist destination, Land's End. However, for us, travelling is always about seeking out the quiet places. The more remote, the better. So when we found the Penwith Mine, it didn't disappoint. One of only a handful of visitors, we enjoyed the peace and quiet and the amazing views off the coastal cliff. We then discovered another tiny beach at the end of a 30-minute moderate hike. It was then back into the Heimer to make our way to our next campsite at the Bidruthen Steps. Setting up our camp was fairly straightforward, and we were lucky to have a nice big awning to shelter us from the afternoon sun. With views like these, we decided to spend 2 nights here. And with some fresh wood-fired pizza 20 yards from our campervan, we knew we had selected the perfect spot. The Bidruthen Steps are one of Cornwall's most popular attractions, boasting spectacular cliff-top views of the glorious sea stacks below. Leaving Bidruthen was sad, but our spirits were soon lifted as we arrived in the incredible Port Isaac fishing village. We enjoyed our first ever ploughman's lunch in a converted church. And then went in search of our last beach and our final swim in the Cornish waters. Waking up the next morning, we had mixed feelings. Our adventure in Cornwall was over, but we had gathered some amazing memories. The incredible scenery, the expansive beaches, the tiny roads, and the fishing villages where we would stop for coffees and Cornish cream tea. We still had plenty of fuel in our tank, so we took the long way home through Wales. See you next time, Cornwall. Thanks for watching.